Mhm. Hey guys, what's going on?
Hi. Hi, how's it going?
What's up? What's up? All my closers
Yeah, hello.
selling arches left and right over here.
Being recorded.
All right.
Are you gonna put your camera on? Esa no es como- esa no es como la silla.
I'm just giving everybody a minute to log on. So just hang in there.
You have audio? Can they hear you?
Girl, if I click on it, I know, right?
Then they can't hear you talk. So you want me to dial?
No, I can do it. Oh, they want us to participate?
You have to give your feedback.
Welcome to just real quick. That's $8.
It's madness. It's madness.
Yeah.
I don't see a name.
Hey, guys, make sure to update your names on Zoom. We got a lot of new people on here. I see one is like KJ, MYGC. We got a BDRE over here. I don't know what that is. I need a name.
I think she'll hear. Give me a tip. I'm still gonna ask us. Oh, yeah,
We're communicating with spacecraft over here or something.
so I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna put my name and your name, okay?
Unmute.
I didn't.
Giving everyone a minute to get logged on here.
No.
Why don't you want to mute everybody?
Your camera for you. You're the doctor.
I'm not. I'm gonna stick it with the cameras.
Just letting everybody, just giving everybody a couple more seconds to log on here, and then we will get going.
We're 3 people here on the iPad, so just in case you're waiting for us, we're all 3 of us on one.
Mauricio's iPad, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, anyone have a good story sometime in the last couple weeks of a patient coming in, shop and price? We're able to get the price from them. I've got one actually today. What the call we're going to review today is from Crystal with Dr. Brand's office. And it was a second opinion. I think he had 2 other prices. But have you guys been improving, going back and forth, getting the patient to actually give you a budget? Anyone got a consultation they want to share with the group of a way that you handled a price shopper? Whether you closed them or not, whether you threw his ass out of the office or not, doesn't really matter. But anything interesting? Who's got one? You're all muted if you're talking.
Okay, can I unmute and talk?
You got one?
We have one, yeah, for the Nova Demo group. We didn't close, but it's an interesting story.
Okay, tell me.
So this guy comes in, he's already been to 2 consultations before us. He comes in with the paper, but he refuses to share any kind of price point, nothing. We go over our bundle. He doesn't even negotiate with me. Takes the paper, he's like, all right, I'm good. He doesn't give me anything to talk about. What's going on? Is he in pain? Nothing, no conversation. And he's just like, okay, I have another consultation Monday and I will get back to you. That's it. Very oddball. So I didn't know what to do.
Did he ask you about price?
0. He didn't even negotiate with me. He didn't even tell me what he's comfortable paying.
So he gave you a let me think about it.
He didn't even say it. He just like strutted, like.
Strutted on you.
Yeah. And then I think it was his wife who was pushing him to go for these consultations. So I even reached out to her. I'm like, hey, I don't know if you're Husband kind of shared the, what I gave him, but he didn't give me a chance to negotiate. Did you have a price in mind? And she's like, he's going to other 2 consultations. He'll let you know. So I'm like, okay, that's it. Cut
So
me off.
the first thing you do, those can be tough. Sometimes they won't say anything. They'll just say, all right, thank you. Call you later.
Yeah.
Bye. Got another consultation, whatever. They do that on the phone too. But the first thing you want to take off the plate with somebody like that, first thing you want to kind of remove. Remember, typically when they're thinking about it, it's either they're unsure about the procedure, they're unsure about the price, they're unsure about you, right? Or the office, the doctor, something like that. Okay. Those are usually the 3 things. The first thing to try to take off the table is the procedure. Like, did we get the actual procedure right here? And that's where that loop comes in. And you use the loop on the same thing. Like, that is basically a let me think about it. He's just not using those words, but he's leaving without telling you what his problem is. He's not giving you the objection. And the call we're about to watch, this guy is like unbelievably forthcoming in everything. He was like super honest. I mean, I kind of call this is kind of like a lay down type of a patient. This guy was pretty, he was extremely open, but when you're dealing with somebody that's not, we have to run that loop and figure out where it is. Right. And you can't really do that with a direct question. So that's what that very first loop is for let me think about it. We say, listen, no problem. I know that you need to go back and you got another appointment. That's all fine. But I just want to make sure one thing, just forget about everything else. Just the procedure itself, based on where you are and where you want to be, just like the procedure, everything that I came up with the doctor, everything we came up with for you. I just want to make sure, like, forget about everything else. Does the procedure make sense to you? Just the procedure itself. Does that make sense? And we're going to run the same loop every single time in that scenario. And I'm going to gauge their response in terms of certainty to come to a conclusion whether or not it's the procedure, right? So if they give me a response like, yeah, I think it's okay, then it's not okay, right? That wasn't a real good response. But if they come back and say, oh no, yeah, absolutely, no, the procedure's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So it's not the procedure. That I think that you guys nailed it there. It's exactly what I want. I'm just more along the lines thinking of blah, 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 blah. Right. And then they'll tip their hand a little bit. You know what I mean? If they don't want the procedure, we kind of missed them from Jump Street, which usually only happens if we're not asking the right questions where that patient's actually treatment planning themselves. Right. When we miss the whole procedure, it's because we were talking 95% of the time and the patient was talking 5%. And we were kind of going through options and kind of selling all on 4, or we were selling an Overdenture or whatever it was. And they just never really stopped us. When you guys are asking questions and they're treatment planning themselves, they're describing the outcome and we're just matching what they say to the treatment that best suits it. You're almost never going to get that it's the treatment. Okay. But they say, let me think about it, or give you something like that. They try to strut on you, take everything else off the table. Just want to make sure, is the procedure right?
Yeah.
Right. Do you feel good about the procedure? Like, how do you feel just about the protocol and going from where you are right now to everything that we spoke about, feeling like this, doing that? I mean, just the procedure. Does that make sense? And then if they say yes, absolutely, then it's either the doctor or you or the money, one of the two. But typically when they answer it, they're not just going to say, no, it's the procedure is great. It's not the procedure. And then just stare at you. That would be weird. There are some weird people, but typically they're going to say, no, it's not the procedure. It's this or it's that. And that'll tip that. Now they've tipped their hand, right? As soon as they do that, now you have a leg to stand on, where if they tip their hand, it's like, no, it's not that. I just, I don't know how much it should cost. That's why I kind of set up 3 or 4 different appointments with different doctors. They kind of do the procedure a little bit differently, it seems like, and they all kind of charge a little bit differently. So, I just wanted to kind of get a feel for how much this costs on average, so that's all it is. And then exactly, right, what the problem is. It's cost,
Right.
And then you can go from there, right? What kind of a number's in your head? Do you have a budget you're looking to stay within? Typically the average cost is going to be blah, 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 but you're still in the fight at that point, right? But guys, remember that loop. price shoppers, a lot of times they'll be direct. So it's about price. For me, the price shoppers are easier to handle, because they're very direct. They say, hey, can you do any better on price? Geez, that's a little bit more than I thought. But whatever they say, it doesn't matter because they're telling you what they're thinking. It's when they don't tell you what they're thinking, that's where you separate, somebody that's good from somebody that's really great, is when they don't want to tell you, right? And we can run a loop and we can figure it out through a process of elimination. And then you're still in the fight. You know what I mean? So remember that. You guys should all have that loop in your book, but go through that. The loop is under let me think about it.
Okay.
Look at that and try that next time. So anytime someone gets up and tries to leave, whether it's let me think about it, let me talk to my wife, let me talk to my husband, or as you stated, just kind of get up and say, thank you for your time. Bye. It's the same loop every time.
Okay.
Take the protocol off the table, gauge their answer with certainty, and then go from there. It's either the doctor, it's either the money, or in some cases, it can be that they're not the decision maker in some cases, right? But you can find that out. And in other cases, again, these are exceptions, but sometimes they can just have kind of a fear or a phobia that's freaking them out. And they have anxiety, and their anxiety is telling them, get the hell out of this office. I've seen that actually happen, and it's a real thing. It's just not often, but it does happen. So, either way, you got to figure out what it is and running that language pattern on the let me think about it loop. That's a very elegant, non-invasive, non-confrontational way to get somebody to tell you what they're thinking when they don't want to.
Okay. Thank you.
And can I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say the patient isn't the financial decision maker. Is it appropriate to say, if they say, oh, I have to take this home and go speak with my wife, my spouse, would you suggest we turn around and say, why don't I give you a moment, give them a call, I'll step right out, I'll come back in and we'll talk further. Would you suggest that?
One thing I would want to know, and it depends on if you believe him or not. Okay. So I'm more likely to believe someone that tells me that if they are, and this is totally profiling, but I don't care, because what isn't, right? What isn't profiling is what it is. It's sales. We're reading people. But somebody that has more of a shy demeanor, somebody that's not very outspoken, somebody that doesn't seem to have a dominant personality, I'm more willing to believe it. And if I do believe it, something I want to know is, have you spoken previously to your husband or your wife or whatever? Have you previously spoken to them at all in regards to this and pricing? Or would this be the first time? Right? Like how far into this are you? And I only ask because sometimes when people come in, and they get a price and they go back and they talk to their husband or their wife, and it's the very first price they've ever heard, and they weren't in on the consultation. Other times they've already been, maybe the husband or wife was on 2 other consultations with you. You know what I mean? That they're a little bit further down the line. I want to know, is this the first time they're going to be seeing a price and the first time they're going to be hearing about the procedure, or is this something that they're really far down the road?
Okay.
The more information, the more you can get them talking, the better equipped you are to make a call on whether or not, let's get them on the phone right now. Let's reschedule them. Would it be helpful if I could reschedule an appointment and just bring both you guys back? What's the easiest way to do this? But if you do it with no intel, it's hard because you're kind of shooting from the hip. So if they say, I need to go and talk to my wife before I make a purchase like this, and I say, well, why don't we go ahead and call your wife and get her on the phone right now, and we can talk to her. That way I can help you, I can be there to answer any questions, right? Kind of bring her in on the process. No, because she's at work, and I kind of just talk to her, in private, and then give you a call back. Where do I go from there? You know what I mean? So if I ask them, how far down the road are you guys? Have you spoke about it? Have you not spoke about it? Depending on what they say, I'm going to have ammunition to then justify why it's going to be advantageous to get on the phone now or to come back in for a consultation later. But if I believe the person, I know I've got to figure out a way to sell that other person. So I either have to sell them through this person that I'm going to let leave, or I have to create, another appointment, or we have to call them right now. But either way, I've got to get to the decision maker in one way, shape, or form.
Okay, got it.
The more you keep them talking, the better. There's no different. Let me think about it. Let me talk to my wife. Thank you very much. Or I'll call you Tuesday, or I never make decisions on the first time, blah, 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 blah. Whatever you hear all this stuff in sales. And it all means the same thing, which is they have something that's holding them up that they don't want to divulge at this time. And it's our job to figure out what that is so that we can go back and create certainty there. That's why that's why I always say the hardest one to overcome is the let me think about it and the quiet ones. Everybody thinks it's price shoppers and people negotiating, but it's not. Those are super easy once you kind of figure it out and you get the pace down. Those aren't a problem at all. It's the quiet ones that say yes to everything. You're great. I love you. I'll call you back next Wednesday. Thank you so much. And they're so nice and so sweet. And they say bye. Those are the hard ones. Cool. I'm going to go ahead. I've got a video. This video is kind of interesting because Dr. Brand's in the room for like T-7 seconds this entire time. I don't even know what he did. He's like, oh, it's already done. Bye. But Crystal did a good job, and they kind of got right into the money thing very, very quickly, which happens sometimes, but they almost kind of got right into the money and the primary recommendation and the close, like in 15 minutes, all of this happened. It ended up working out because this guy was ready, but I'm going to go through and play this video for you. I'll kind of stop along the way and point some things out where you could run into an issue with a different patient here if we do them out of sequence. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. And remember, if you guys have a question, just chat the question in if I'm playing the video, since everyone's muted, and then I'll get to it. Let's see. This is Crystal. You can't see much with the video, but the audio is really good.
So it's nice to meet you, John. My name is Crystal.
Pleasure to meet you,
Pleasure to
Hank.
meet you too. So I'm one of the treatment coordinators here, and really my only job is to help you.
Okay,
So,
good.
I just need to be clear on a couple things. So number one,
Hey, one thing right there. Make sure that you guys get that part. You want to get that part down, right? When you're stating your intention, my only job here is to help get you from point A to point B. Basically where you are now, everything you're dealing with, to exactly what you want, right? So that you get the treatment that you want. Or make sure that you make that point, because that stating the intention, it sets the stage for the entire call. And the reason why I'm big on setting the intention is because it gives them a logical justification for all of the questions that you're about to ask. So make sure you get that down. Don't rush right through the very first part. Make sure that that patient makes a connection, that the treatment that you recommend is going to be based off of the answers they're going to give you from the questions you're about to ask. As long as they make that connection, I don't really care how it's said, but you want them to make that connection, because right off the bat, we're saying, I'm not going to push anything. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm just here to make sure that you get a treatment that best matches with your level of expectation.
issues are pain, anything like that, and then number two is what you kind of want for your smile future. If you want to think about it like that.
White. And
Right.
for sure to have my teeth back in. I'll tell you, this
For
is,
your uppers, yeah.
yes, this has been a lifetime thing, trying to keep those teeth on the top.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I broke my jaw years ago, And I mean, it broke it bad enough to where they had to take the wisdom teeth and the whole 9 yards.
Oh my gosh.
And ever since then, I've tooth after tooth after tooth in the upper seem to be just failing.
Since that accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can go back, I don't know how many root canals I've had. I've had 6 tooth bridge over here, 6 tooth over here, started out with 3, and
Oh God.
it just, you know.
You hear this guy's tone and his demeanor, right? You're thinking like you're salivating, you know what I mean, with a patient like this, because he's got a sense of enthusiasm, like he's excited to be there, which not all patients are excited to be there, right? When it comes to dental implants, a lot of patients are there because they have to be there. You know what I mean? And he actually sounds like he's really, really, really been looking forward to this, right? Which is awesome, you know, because that means you're not going to have to do a ton of work in terms of creating urgency, you know, and things like that. And the most important thing to keep in mind with that type of personality, even when they're excited, is just to keep them on track. But Crystal did a really good job just connecting with this patient right off the bat. He's obviously really comfortable, but this is how you wish everybody would speak right off the bat. Sounds really good.
Went on and on.
Yeah. Until you got to
I
the
was-
partial.
Yes.
Okay.
This is an implant here, as you'll see.
Okay.
There's 2 implants there.
I can kind of see them here.
And I can't remember the name of the implants, but Denellen Dentistry.
Denellen Dentistry?
Yes.
Okay. How long ago did you get those put in?
The implants?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, maybe 2-3 years.
Okay, and so you basically kind of thought, well, I just want to get everything done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His game plan, it would be another month. Then he would put in
So these guys, you got to be careful about pacing and leading, right? Because they can have a tendency to go off on a tangent and start talking about things that could be a little bit out of order. You know, what I really want to know from him is what are his biggest pain points right now? What's his biggest pain point? And sometimes you guys get this information over the phone also. So you're kind of like cutting to the chase. By the time I see the video, it's kind of like you've already done half of the first 10. But I want to make sure to kind of control the dialogue and get this person explaining, you know, what his main pain points are and how that's affecting his life. And with somebody like this, that's probably one question and they're going to just go. It's just like, this guy has momentum. When he talks, he's going to develop momentum and he's going to go, and you just got to kind of steer him in the right direction, right? Because whatever direction he starts, I mean, this guy could be talking about, you know, different types of implants here, you know, for the next 10 minutes if they're not controlled. So make sure, hey, when you're pacing and leading, if you feel them getting off the line, bring them back down right where you need them to be, and just a pointed question. This guy's going to fly through a consultation though, right? Because he's going to give you everything you need. The hardest part with somebody like this is stopping them, right? And getting to your next question, to be honest, because it'll be like a complete run-on thought in a lot of cases.
like he was talking like 8 implants.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got to wait another 4 to 5 months. And meanwhile, the tooth that holds this side in had failed.
Oh,
So then I had to go get that removed. Now any little small thing in my mouth gets under there. Yeah, I'm looking for an option where I don't have to keep waiting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, okay, so then it sounds like, so you want your uppers done for sure. You already have implants in your upper right that you got 2 to 3 years ago. You've been through like a ton of other dental work.
Yeah.
And you're just done.
Done.
Done. And you don't want to wait. you want to get implants in, and you want teeth as soon as possible.
Yes,
Got it?
yeah. Hey, if I've got to chew noodles or whatever, just to have temporaries in would be a
Okay.
blessing.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that. All right, so I'm gonna ask you to give me like a rating, okay? So for aesthetics, like the way that your teeth look, how important is that to you from a scale of 1 to 10?
It's important.
Like a 10?
Yeah, everybody, I'm always smiling. That's where all these came from, so.
Well, those are happy lines right there.
Yes.
Okay, so then how about function? And when I say function, I mean, do you want to be able to eat like whatever you want? Are you okay with pulling back a little bit?
I miss my steak.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so that's a 10. How do you cook your steak?
Medium.
Medium.
If I can see just a tad of pink, I'm fine.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And then as far as maintenance, and what I mean by that is, are you okay with replacing something every once in a while, or you don't want to replace it at all? It's like one and done?
It would be great at this point,
Yes.
you know, getting a little bit older. One and done would be awesome.
Okay, I got you.
If you want to put gold on an eye tooth, that's fine.
All right, I'll make a note for that. And you know, it's so funny, actually, we did do that.
Did you really?
Yeah, so, I mean, we can if you really want. We aim to
I was
please.
going to share with you. I've got enough gold teeth that I could bring in if we could do the whole mouth probably.
All right. Yeah, we can do that, girl. No problem. So let's take a look at your bone here.
Okay.
All right. So we're just gonna start on top.
Hey, Crystal, did you guys get did you just already have the CT done here, or are you using the one that the patient brought in?
I had taken one. So we typically take them before we bring the patients into the consultation room. So we're looking at one right now.
Got it. Cool. So it's the one that you guys took.
So I'm just tracing the arch right here. Okay, it looks like you got some pretty decent bone. I see the implants are right there.
Oh, did he put any bone graft in that tooth, that upper tooth he removed?
Was that on the right or the left?
Right side.
Right side. Let's see here. Where was the tooth?
Here.
All the way in the back?
It doesn't look like it up there.
No. Was that a conversation that you had with the previous doctor?
Yeah.
Well, I can double check with our doctors here as well.
Okay.
Because I can't identify it doesn't mean it's not there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It could be radiolucent or something, meaning we can't see it on an x-ray. Some bone grafts are like that. So,
Okay.
let's see here. I'm just taking some preliminary measurements to
Sure.
see what we're working with.
Okay.
And it looks like you got some pretty decent bone, John.
Good.
That's fantastic.
So Crystal, this is usually like kind of the part that the doctors usually take, right? Is looking at the CT scan, talking about bone, doing all that stuff, basically confirming that they're a candidate and then making the primary treatment recommendation. Is this more of a typical process, or is this more unusual for you guys, for you to kind of go into that?
Because our doctors are almost always in surgery, this is what we do. And so like Dr. Brand has trained us to be able to identify whether or not they have bone, but obviously like we have to confirm everything with them. But if they're not, if we only had consultations when the doctors are available, we wouldn't have them. And so like what we'll do is take the scan, kind of see what sort of bone they have, because we know what bone and no bone looks like. And then we'll go see if there's a doctor available, confirm it with them, and then come back. So I would say it's pretty typical for our office, yeah.
So it's typical for the doctor to be in the room for what, less than 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
So I would say that sometimes it's for a short period of time. I think it depends on the patient too. Sometimes it's not even at all. we'll just go back, talk to whoever's available, and then see if they have enough bone to place the implants. If they do or don't, we'll relay that to the patient ourselves. Unless it's something like pretty serious and the doctor wants to say something, then they'll come and meet them. Or if we want them to come meet them, or the patient said they wanted to meet a doctor, then we'll do that too.
Got it. Okay. What I would keep in mind here, anytime you've got a CT pulled up and you're talking to the patient about it, I would keep it about as generalized as I possibly could. You know what I'm saying? Like I would keep it real general. Like, oh, I see some bone. You know what I mean? I would not be specific when it comes to that, because I would use it. You're basically using the CT to say it looks like you'd be a good candidate for several different types of treatment. Now, based on what you told me in regards to function, aesthetics, long-term maintenance, wanting to get this done one time and one time only, I would say definitely out of the 4 or 5 different treatments that we have available, I would say the one that best suits what it is that you're looking for would be X. I would just use it to justify the connection there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would be cautious about getting into it, because there's certain doors you open and now they have further questions on it, and you can kind of get into a situation where you don't want to be commenting on that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the last thing I want to do is say something and then the doctor has to roll it back. Or even if we say something and the doctor says the same thing differently and it confuses the patient, or the patient thinks that it was different, there's just a lot of things that could happen. So, and you didn't do anything wrong here, by the way. I'm just saying for future reference, you want to keep it general. And if there's anything that you are less than 1000% certain on, then you don't mention it. Don't even bring it up. You know what I mean? You just let the doctors do that part. And if you got to go grab them, you got $50,000 bill in front of you, you go get them. You know what I mean? That's it. Make them work. Work them, girl. Okay. Hold on. What is it?
I'm curious how patients who are invested towards high-end dentistry feel about such little time with the dentist.
I'm curious about how patients investing in high-end dentistry feel about such little time with the dentist. I'd say it's different for different patients. There's some patients come in, everybody that walks in to Clear Choice is spending less than 10 minutes with the doctor, and they never, ever, ever meet the restorative or the surgeon. Never. They never meet the oral surgeon that's actually going to be doing the surgery. Never meet them. Right. And that's the biggest provider of full arch implants in the country. So I think it just depends on what is their relationship with you and how comfortable do they feel. If someone doesn't feel real comfortable with the treatment coordinator, they don't feel like you know exactly what you're talking about, they're probably going to want to talk to a doctor. You know what I mean? There are some patients that want to talk to a doctor no matter what. Right. And that's that. Hopefully they will tell you that. But if not, you have to be able to pick up on that and kind of get, you get a feel for it. And if you even have an inkling that they are wanting to speak to a doctor, that it's important to them to do so, then you go get them, you know? So I don't think I don't think there's one way that everybody feels, because I've got so many clients with different processes based around this. I've got clients where the doctor's with them. I try to fix this, but sometimes the doctor's with them for an hour with the patient. And I don't necessarily think that that's efficient, right, for the doctor. And I don't think it's necessary for the patient. I think that that's the whole point of this program, is to get the treatment coordinator to the point where the treatment coordinator can do the heavy lifting as far as the communication. And what the doctor's there for is to confirm candidacy, make a primary treatment recommendation, and then create extreme confidence and enthusiasm. That's what they're there to do. If I can get those 3 things out of the doctor in 10 minutes, it's better than a doctor spending an hour with the patient that doesn't do any of those things. Sometimes they leave the patient with 3 different options. They didn't sound excited about any of them. They got too clinical. They got in the weeds. They didn't really listen to the patient, and they kind of did more harm than good. So I do like for the doctor to come in and confirm candidacy and make a primary recommendation. I like that, you know, and I think it's also advantageous for the doctor to come in and make a quick but deep connection with the patient. So the patient looks at the doctor and goes, wow, this doctor looks excited to do the case, right? If the doctor feels good about it, I feel good about it. If the doctor feels excited about it, I'm going to feel excited about it. So I think that that's advantageous in all of the, probably 100% of the consultations. To have that helps you guys as treatment coordinators. Doesn't mean that you have to have it to get the case closed, right? So just like Crystal said, hey, sometimes you've got patients in there and you're scheduling consultations and something happens, the doctor is not available, just not available. So you have to do, you have to be diverse enough and have enough depth to kind of feel your way around here. But it's not super typical for the doctor not to come into the room at all. But I'm sure a lot of you guys have had the situation where you had a consultation, the doctor got busy or there was an emergency and the doctor couldn't get to the patient, right? All of you guys have probably run into that. So it's still good to get to the point where we can still somewhat come up with some type of a close, even if it's a deposit. Let me keep going on this because here's where we start talking about the money.
Goodness.
Yes. Okay, let's see here.
They've added enough over the years.
Okay. So right now we're probably about here. I'm just gonna take a measurement of that. Looks great. That looks really good too.
I'm just like a doctor, Crystal.
Look at your implant. They look like they're doing pretty good.
That's pretty good. Nice general, just how I like it, yeah. Pretty good, good bone.
So it's funny that you mentioned not knowing the manufacturer. That's super easy to get.
Okay,
Yeah, it's super easy to get.
okay.
So it looks like you would probably be a candidate for implants on the top if you wanted them.
Okay,
So from everything that you told me, and really the only material that will stand up to stake, I'm gonna start by talking to you about these first, but I'll
Okay.
bring everything else you can see. And feel free to touch whatever you'd like.
okay.
So starting on the right, these are zirconia. It's like the best of the best.
That's what I hear, yes.
Okay, so you've done your research then?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is this kind of what you were gearing towards?
it is. And this would be permanent, it wouldn't be on a cushion.
That is correct.
Okay,
And so these are going to screw right into implants that we place in addition to the implants that you already have.
okay,
So typically we place minimum of 4 on the top. It's probably going to be a little bit more for you, but that is it's neither here nor there,
Right.
really.
right,
But yeah, these will stand up to steak. They will stand up to corn off the cob, apple off the core, like pretty much anything you want to eat, you can eat without like hesitating, which is nice.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So these also are the only ones that have a 5-year guarantee as well.
Okay,
So because they're made to be permanent, so if you get chipping, staining, wearing, anything, come back and we'll fix it for free.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Questions about this?
No,
Okay.
no.
Did you want to hear about these?
Well, what kind of price range are we looking here?
Sure. Were you thinking of paying cash or financing?
We could do cash.
Okay.
If the percentage, if the discount is
Okay.
nice.
So, with financing, it's 25,000. Discounted for cash would be 23.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I wonder if they can,
Okay, so here's where things can get a little, here's where you could run into issues, right? In this situation, kind of tipped his hand when we went through zirconia, and he's like, yep, zirconia, that's the one, that seems to be. So right off the bat, you know he's already had another consultation. Okay, so he's already had a consultation about this, at least one of them. Okay, maybe multiple. We don't know yet what pricing he got from other doctors. Okay, one thing I definitely want to put in this guy's head when I'm going through the treatment. I'm saying, hey, based on everything you said with function aesthetics, this is kind of what we'd be looking at, zirconia, da 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 da. And he goes, yeah, that's permanent. So yeah, it is one of the permanent options. It's not the only permanent, right? It's not the only fixed. Some places only offer one fixed, but we have a couple different ways to do fixed permanent options. But this would be, based on what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. I want to throw that in there so that there's more than one, because this guy hasn't heard that before. Guarantee it. That's number one. Number two, I want total buy-in that yes, he wants zirconia. And then when we start talking about price, I have to make a determination if I'm ready to close right now, if I'm ready to do a close. Because if I don't go through that formal close, if I don't get a bundle out, if I don't show him the deal, then the $25,000 is not going to be viewed correctly. You know what I mean? He's going to look at that as retail. And he already even said the word discount. So anybody that says the word discount to me before I close, I know I want to run through the bundle, because I'm going to come to him and show him that he's getting a big discount already, and he's getting more than any of the other doctors have showed him, right? So I would stop. The one point I would make is that we have more than one quote unquote permanent option. That's going to be something different, right? And it also gives me a fallback if he says, whoa, that's way too much money or whatever. That's why we have more than one option. We have different options, all that are fixed and permanent, still give you what you want, but just at different price points, just different types of material. I have a fallback there. And then the next thing would just be to put him off for a second, right? And make sure all on four is what he wants, zirconia is what he wants. And I would try to get a price out of him before I shared anything or even went through the bundle. I would like to know what he got from the other practices. I would like to know that before I give 25 grand. You know what I mean? Because that's going to help me. Because if he has a price for all on four fixed zirconia at 18,995, I certainly don't want to just throw out 25. I don't want to throw that out, right? What I want to do is go through the bundle, and I'm going to frame 18,995 that it's possible that there's going to be more down the road. It's possible that that's your quote unquote starting at fee, right? And there's going to be more, right? Was this included? Was that included? That included? This included? You know what I mean? So I want to frame it and start planting some seeds that maybe there's more that meets the eye to that 18,995. And then I'm going to show them, hey, the most important thing, whether it's 18, 20 or 22 or whatever, it's all in the same ballpark, right? The last thing you want is to start cutting corners, do it wrong, and then you have a problem. You've already had a problem with 2 implants. We do not want a problem with this one, right? We want this thing done right. Okay. That's why we don't cut any corners here. I'm going to show you what we do, because we do this one time, and it's going to be done the right way. And we include everything. We don't upcharge you for every little thing. There's nothing coming next week or down the road or even next year, right? Everything is included here. Okay. And we actually warranty and guarantee all of our work. So let me kind of go through it with you. And I know you said it depends on what the discount is. I think you're going to be pretty happy to see everything that we include. And then what we can do as far as a discount for you. Because you're not going to find this anywhere else. So let's go through it. Bam. And then I'm going to take them through the bundle. Right. And again, these are all just ways you can do it just like this, just shoot out price, bam. And you're into a negotiation. It's just, we led with a fee with no frame of reference, right? We're kind of led blindly. We just gave it to them. Bam. Anytime you do that, what do you do if they say, let me think about it? You know what I mean? It puts you in a tough spot. It's just more difficult to recover there, right? What I like to do is maintain control the entire time. So, and I want you guys to pay attention to the tells here. That's what sales is. It's reading people. So when they make a tell, right? like you're going through patient education, go, oh yeah, zirconia. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Bam, you're thinking they already have had a consultation 100%. They see something, well, depends on what the discount is. Odds are they had another doctor show them that they could give them a little bit of a discount on this. Right? So now they're asking what your discount is. So they're expecting it, right? All of these things, you just have to really pay attention and pick up on it so that when you go into your close, you're framing this correctly to the point where I'm not giving them some type of a take it or leave it scenario, right? And I'm not putting them in a position where it's like 25,000, yes or no, right? Because if it's yes or no, and they say, let me think about it, or they say, nah, that's too much, it's more difficult now, right? I can still, well, sounds like you had a number inside your head, blah, blah, blah. But this guy is like an open book. This guy will give you whatever you want. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to get it out of him. Just keep that in mind before you throw a fee. If you get the feeling that it's a second opinion, I want to know what price they got and if they got a price, right? So if they say, oh yeah, I've already been, yeah, I know about zirconia and I'm familiar with it. Oh, okay. Have you already had a consultation somewhere in regards to all on four with zirconia? Yeah, you did. Okay. Did you get a price for it? How far down the road did you get? Or did you just kind of inquire over the phone? Just kind of give me an idea. Just want to know how familiar you are with the procedure, and I can kind of just tailor it to whatever's going to be the fastest and easiest for you. And then this guy, he's going to just give it to you. You know what I mean? Somebody that talks like this, they'll tell you, oh yeah, I went to Dr. Such and such, got me this X amount of money, blah, 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 blah. And you guys have everything you need. You know, hey, he's $5,000 under where I'm going to be. So I need to do two things. I got to make sure that I plant a seed that 19,000 or that 20,000 may not be the end of the story. And I also got to plant another seed that it may not include everything, and that he's getting more with me for a bigger discount, meaning a better deal. And that's how I'm going to frame my entire close. But you gotta be careful because they'll jump you ahead, right? To ask you a direct question, and sometimes you give them a direct answer and you're kind of shooting from the hip. Sometimes it can work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But it's going to work out almost all the time if you maintain full control over that dialogue, and they're marching to my beat here. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Get in the 20, at the 20 range.
Oh, hold on.
20?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if they can get in the 20, at the 20 range.
20?
You see how this guy's literally thinking out loud with his mouth. A lot of people don't do this. These are the easiest people, right, to close, because he's literally, he didn't mean to say that. The guy's just a horrible negotiator, right? Crystal's got him freaking hypnotized. What is this guy doing, right? You don't say that. You know what I mean? This guy is an amateur, right? He's just like a nice guy that's just like, you know, thinking out loud, right? But understand that does not happen all the time. People will think that exact same thing and never tell you, and they're wonder if you can get to the 20. But they're not going to say 20 because they're either going, what if they could do better than 20? I don't want to say 20. I'm just going to ask them how good they can do. And then I'm going to use that number, and then I'm going to go from there. That's what a lot of people will do.
Because of what?
I've got two other prices,
Yeah.
and if I've got to wait the long term, the long haul, let's see, the total on that was 20, and that's removing the teeth and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm to a point I'd rather not wait that long.
Right.
And the other two came to, I got them to 21.5.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering if you guys can get close.
Look at all these practices, this guy. He's been to 2, and this guy's easy. How did they not get him? Somebody tell me. Do you hear what he just said? I got him to 21.5. Ha! How did it get them to 21.5 and not get closed? Somebody tell me. How?
They didn't ask him to schedule. They didn't accept the 21.5.
You know what they didn't do? They didn't get a commitment from him before they conceded on price, right? If I run through the bundle and I go from 35 to 25 and I have somebody ask me for a bigger discount, say, hey, well, can you do a little better? Right? I need to know, what is their idea of a little bit better, right? So what's your idea of a little bit better? And they say, let's say that they say, listen, if you could get down from 25 to 21.5, that would be a huge help. What do you do then? What do you do? What do you say?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Let me think about it. I'll call you back. And that's how they screwed it up, right? The answer is 21.5. That's something that almost never happens. I'm not sitting here telling you that I can do it, because as you've seen here, you've already got about a $9,000 or $10,000 discount already built in. You're asking for another $4,000 or $3,500 off. I'm not saying that I can do it, right? But I'll take this to the doctor right now and try to get approval on it. But I'm only going to do that if you're going to make a commitment today, schedule and pay. If I can get to the 21.5, you're scheduling and paying today.
So not for this guy, but Bart, so for like another consult that I had, I did do that, not those exact words, but maybe I did it wrong. But like they're like, oh my God, you're like a car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I felt pretty like, oh God, what did I just do? And like, I don't know, it didn't go well.
It depends on how you do it, right? And that's why framing is important. That's why I tell them, listen, and it's important to go through the bundle. It's really important. The bundle helps you here, right? Because it's already showing that you've already taken the first step. So they're asking not for the first concession here. They're asking for the second one, which is asking a lot, right? So I'm saying, listen, in addition to the $8,000 or $10,000 that you've already gotten, you're asking for another $3,500. It's a big ask. It's something that virtually never happens. I don't mind taking it to the doctor, but if I'm going to take it to the doctor and try to get this approved, I need to know, right, that you're serious about doing this, because I'm about to go talk to the doctor. So I just need you to be honest with me. If I can get the price to where you're asking for it, right, at 22,000 or 22.5, that you can make a commitment today and move forward. All I'm asking is for you to be honest with me. And I'm not even saying that I can do it, but if I can do it, do I have your commitment that you're going to move forward today? And that's fair. That's a fair ask. You know what I mean? It's like, are you serious about it? Because if you're serious, then I'll try to get this done and make an extra concession. But don't ask me to go make second and third concessions for you if you're not serious and you're not ready. Because it's not something that's normal. You know what I mean? So, and that's a normal ask. If you have the bundle there, though, it helps you because you're already showing them that you've already made a huge concession. They're asking for another huge one. If they look at 25,000 and they look at that as your full retail, they don't look at it as a huge concession. They look at it as, oh, please, you can't take $2,000 off this, right? If you couldn't take $2,000 off, 25,000 wouldn't be your price. You got way more than $2,000 in margin here. You know what I mean? That's how they're going to view it. Okay. And that's why I like to assume everybody wants to negotiate and everyone wants to bargain and everyone wants to feel like they're getting a great deal. But I'm not going the extra mile like that without a commitment. No, because what prevents them from just working you? Right? Okay. So you get down to 25.15. Let me think about it. Oh, wasted my time, right? Oh, now that's not enough. Well, maybe 19. Where does it end? You can't allow someone to work you. And sometimes people, they can get upset because sometimes how you word it, it can come off, especially like in the beginning, if it comes off a little clumsy or a bit direct, right? Sometimes it can be off-putting. And other times they are just trying to work you and they're not serious and they get upset, but they're not serious. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay. You can't let somebody just run you guys can't be run over with price. You can't. You have to be in charge and in control of a negotiation, right? And if I'm negotiating in good faith, I'm going to make a deal that works for both parties. And if I come to that deal with both parties and I make a concession on my end, right, from the outset, and they want a further concession, then in order for me to do that, for me to do something over and above what I would normally do, then it requires a commitment on their end, some type of a serious commitment. It's just like anything else. You know what I mean? If someone's selling a house for $500,000 and you say, hey, can you get down to 450? And they're like, what are you going to say? I pay you 450 cash today. I can wire it in if you can do it. Right? No one's going to come down so far without some type of a commitment. You know what I mean? And that's in any business in the world. So a lot of it is just kind of reading who you're talking to and using enough context. When you're first starting off and you're practicing these things, sometimes you'll go right into it and it won't have quite enough context to soften it up. You know what I mean? So I can soften it up, I can still be direct, but I can soften it up with enough context to where the whole thing kind of makes sense and it sounds reasonable. And that's all we need to do is just make it sound reasonable, like we're leveling with them. And that's kind of what I do. You know, it's like, listen, I'm giving you a great deal here without compromising anything. You're making no compromises here because I'm still including everything for the full year, plus the warranty. Right? Keep that in mind. I'm not saying, hey, let's chop out the maintenance and this and that and the other, and then I can kind of get your price down, but you're going to give up all these things. I'm saying you're keeping all this and I'm still coming down. Now, over and above that, I just need to make sure that you're serious and then I'll go to work for you. I don't even know if I can do it though. I'm going to try. I want you to see this get done for you. And I know that the doctor's very, very, very reasonable. And I've seen him go out of his way for people, but I've also seen people ask for things and we go out of our way and then they weren't serious. And I don't want to be put in that position. I'm sure you can understand that. That's it. And some people are there trying to work you and they're pricks and they could get mad and I don't care. You know what I mean? Because they're just going to work you anyways. And you can't have that. A closer is not going to be worked by a customer on a never ending reduction of fees. That cannot persist. Does that make sense, guys? And I'm not saying be rude about by any stretch of the imagination. I'm like, I soften it up and I use so much context. It takes me like 90 seconds to say what I'm telling you in 12 seconds. I might take 90 seconds or even 2 minutes to soften it up and justify it enough for why I need a commitment before I can go talk to the doctor. You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure that we're on the same page, but you can't let somebody just work you with no end in sight, right? And that's why the guy said, I got him at 21.5, the other one's at 20, and this other guy got them down to 21.5. So what can I get you down to? Make sense? So he doesn't even know, but he's already playing this game. He's already programmed this way, right?
There's a question.
What is it?
Is it okay to put a deadline on the offer if they don't commit right then? Say, I'll give you to the end of the week for this deal.
Is there a problem putting a deadline, like give you to the end of the week for this or whatever? I wouldn't, because I would tell them, I don't know if I can do it or not. But I'm not going to go to bat. I need to know if I can do it, you're in. That's it, right? I'm not going to even go ask. You know what I mean? Like you want to maintain as much control and authority here as you can. I don't want to, because if you say, hey, it's good for a week, whatever, you went down to that price and they know damn well if they call you back in 10 days, you're going to do it. You already got there and you got there without talking to anybody. So you probably have more room to go. Does that make sense? And that's exactly why this guy should be closed. Come on. We're the third stop here, ladies. We're the third. This guy's easy. 2 other practices. You know what they're saying? Goddamn progressive. These leads suck. Price shopping bastards. Right? That's what they're saying. Price shopping leads. It's like, no, you made a critical error. This guy's easy. You know what I mean? This guy's ready to go and done. And they messed up 2 practices before that are both cheaper than Crystal. And Crystal's the one that.
So just to kind of give you an idea of what we do, okay? So we are an implants only practice. We only place implants. How about the other places that you went?
The 2 I got the estimates for, nothing but implants.
Okay.
And it's my dentist that was at the lowest mark.
Okay.
But the longest time to heal. He doesn't have anything to give me any temporaries or anything.
Okay, so let me walk you through what we do.
Okay.
So we have an in-house, so it would be 17 up front.
One second.
24
Boy,
hours,
that'd be wonderful.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so after hearing that, does the time sound good?
Oh, yeah.
Timing sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you do 22?
Let's do 22.
22? Done.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Since we're waiting 9 months or so for here,
All right. When we're negotiating, let's just say that we have latitude to do it and we want, he says, can you do it at 20? We're at 25, we're going to be at 22. When she said, could you do 22? Again, if this guy knew what he was doing, do you know what he would sense right there? He would sense that she can come further than 22. Right? That's what I would take from it, right? If someone goes, well, could you do 22? Right? You're to the point where she's kind of saying like, I'd rather not go to 20. Do me a favor here with 22. I can if I have to, but can you just do 22? It's not as strong as it could be. You know what I mean? So if you're going to go to 22, you want to do some type of assumptive close, right? Okay, listen, we're at 25. I know you want to be at 20. That's another 20%. How about we do this? Because I know that you want to get into this as soon as possible. I know you want to get this done. Let's do this. I'll meet you in the middle. We'll do 25.5 or we'll do 22.5 and we'll go ahead and get it going now. And I'll take care of all the paperwork, get it done for you. Does that sound fair? Done, right? Not can you or could you or will you, anything. You have to assume it's done, right? So that they follow you. How about this? This is what we're going to do, right? I'm going to take another $2,500 off. I'm going to get you in the schedule immediately so we can get this thing going. I'll take care of all the paperwork, another $2,500 off and get you going. Does that sound reasonable? Let's do it. Boom. Done. Assume it and go. Don't ask for permission. Again, this guy just doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to negotiate at all. But if he did, somebody that's savvy is going to hear you and they're going to sense that you can go further, right? And if I was the guy and I wanted to really work you right there, I would be like, nah, I've already got 2 other quotes that are less than that. And it's pretty much the same thing. They all do implants too. And listen, I don't want to go with them. I really want to go with you guys, but I need you to get down to 20,000. Is there no way you can get down to 20,000? That's what I would do. You know what I mean? All right, watch.
for the permanent,
Yes.
what if I, at the time of procedure, pay half and then pay the remainder when these are done?
So, yes, we can totally do that. So
Okay.
then what we would do is, let me just do a little math here.
Sure.
Okay. So you need to pay 17 up front to get started.
Okay.
So it would be 17 up front and then 5,000 before you get these. Does
Okay.
that sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let me just, so Yeah,
Yep.
okay, let me get a doctor.
Much better example of assumptive style close, right? Said, well, what we're going to do is we'll do 17 here and 5 there, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just assume the close, they'll follow you. If they sense a weakness or they sense, that they can get something further, like why? Hey, how about I pay you 2,000 now? 10,000 later. How about I pay you over 4 months? I mean, what's it to them? It's the same price. It's just easier. 50-50, whatever. So you want to do the close. How'd you like to pay for it? We want to have a full pay. If we can't have a full pay, I'm going to treat it like an additional concession. If I have to break it up, you know what I mean? And if I have to break it up, if that's, if they're asking for too much there, then I'll hit them with finance to say, look, if you're just thinking, cash for the whole thing, a lot of people will come up and they'll just take the full amount and spread it out over, several months, just have a low affordable monthly payment and be done. That's an option too. Would that help you? And that's for somebody that's asking for 4 or 5 months of payments, something like that. Half now, half later, whatever. That's not that big of a deal.
Take a look, okay?
Very good.
All right, I'll be
All
right
right,
back.
Miss Crystal. Cool.
Well, look, anyways, Crystal closes this guy. I just found it really interesting listening to the patient, listening to this whole dialogue, and I was just shocked that he had been through 2 consultations and no one got him. That would just shocked me. You know what I mean? And you guys wouldn't believe how many times we see it. It's unreal. I have clients where literally what this client does with 100 leads and what this client does with 100 leads is it's a completely different ballgame. This client takes 100 leads and they do, 7 arches, and this client can't do an arch. Right. And this client's just absolutely convinced that it's the leads and it's the consultation, it's the patients. They're absolutely convinced, but you can see these patients, we've even seen one patient go from one of our clients to another one and got closed. It was 3 hours away and the other client, got the patient. So you have to be closing all of the time. And when we start talking about price with a patient, I want to know exactly how I need to frame that price. So don't skip the bundle. The bundle's there to help you guys. It shows them that we're making the first step in the negotiation, and it's going to give you a ton of leverage if they ask for secondary, or third type of concessions on price. It's going to give you guys a lot of leverage there, right? And then pay attention to the tells. If they know zirconia, if they know all on 4, if they know terms like immediate load or anything like that that's not layman's terms, then that they've had a second opinion, right? Or that you are their second or third opinion. And if that's the case, I want to know how the first one went. What price did they give you? How far down the road did you get? Just preliminary information, or did you go through and do CT scan and get a full treatment plan and everything else? And if so, what is it that you're still looking for? But I want all that information before I close if I can get it. And if I've got somebody that's going to talk like this guy, I'm going to get everything. I mean, this guy's going to be in serious trouble, right? He's never going to get away from me. He's done, but the other 2 practices missed them. Okay. So I think it's a really good takeaway. And I think Crystal did a good job not being afraid to talk about price. And she obviously had some latitude built in to the 25 that allowed her to go down to 22. So she didn't get all the way to 20 like he wanted. So she made a negotiation, made an offer, and he accepted it. I think there's some things that you can do to maintain control over the conversation and make sure you don't put yourself in a position where it's take it or leave it for the patient. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you're in control the whole time and you know exactly what type of price point that patient is looking. So if you're going to come in above it, you have a justification before you give them the price. If you're going to come below it, you have a justification before you give them the price. And that's what the frame is, and you can only frame with data. You need to have the data in order to do it. Okay. Guys, I'll open it up real quick. If anybody has any questions, sorry, I went about 10 minutes over. But I thought that was a really good one.
A lot of them are gonna be here Friday.
Cool. A lot of you guys are coming in on Friday. Good, good. We've got a big group coming in on Friday for the power session. So we'll be able to work on a lot of this stuff. Did anyone have any other specific questions on this or anything that came up since our last call that you guys want to run by me real quick? Anybody have anything?
I actually have something. I think that my biggest regret about this consult was like, I wish I wouldn't have folded when he asked if he could split up the payments. I wanted to get everything up front, but like, it's so, I think negotiating, it's hard for me because like I want to give them what they want because I feel sorry for them because of their teeth. And so, but like, I wish I would have been like, no, I already gave you an extra $1,000 off. Like you either pay it all up front or I can give you a discount. Like I wish I would have like said that, but like, it's hard for me to justify somebody spending everything all at once if they're not getting everything all at once.
Don't make that hard to justify. You know, I would just, don't worry about that. You want full commitment. That's what you want, right? Full commitment, pay up front and go, right? Then they're done. And if you were to close, right? And they said, hey, how about we do 22,000? He says, yeah, no problem. 22,000. Say, okay, cool. I'll handle paperwork. I'm going to take a look at the schedule, get it written up. And we can go ahead and we can do a credit card or we can do check. Which one do you prefer? It's going to be a lot different. You know, he might just go right along with whatever you said, because just like you have those feelings of wanting to help and not wanting to come across like too much, customers have those same feelings, right? Like a customer has the same feeling like, man, this person is bending over backwards trying to help me. Do I really want to now ask again? You know what? I'm just going to pay it. Like, I'm glad I'm getting the deal. They met me halfway. They didn't have to do that. They have those same exact feelings, right? But if you don't close and then assume the close and try to get the payment immediately, right? Then it's almost so open-ended where they don't know how to pay. So they're just spitballing here. They're just suggesting ideas to you now, right? It's not like you said, you know, how do you want to pay? You can pay by check or check, credit card, bag full of money, whatever's easiest for you. And I can get you scheduled and get you going. How do you want to pay? It's not, that didn't happen, right? So we just said, okay, cool. Like, okay, well, how about I pay like, he's just making a suggestion. He's not saying, oh, I can't pay it all now. Can I pay it half now and half later? Those are two different things. So who knows if he would have even brought it up, right? Had we done a close and then tried to collect on the money right then. If I try to collect on all the money right now, I can always fall back to 17 and 5. I can always fall back to, 12 and 10. I can always fall back to financing. I can always fall back to put $5,000 now, and then you can bring a check at the time. I can always fall back to all that stuff, but you want to always, you start at the very top, which is, how would you like to pay? We can go ahead and take a check. We can do cash. We can do a wire. We can do credit card, whatever's easiest for you. And then I'll go ahead and get you scheduled. And sometimes I go, well, here's an Amex. Boom. Right? Cool. But I think you did a really, really good job with that patient, Crystal, in a lot of ways. And like I said, again, hey, that guy went to 2 other practices and they didn't get him, and they're sitting there going, why didn't this guy ever call me back? I could have sworn that he was done. And the doctor's going, whatever happened to such and such? Blah, they're having the same conversations everyone has when they think, that the patient should have moved forward and they got out-competed, right? Crystal got him. They didn't get him. He's never going to call him back. It happens every single day, multiple times a day to everybody. So you want to make sure if they tip their hand and they're a second opinion or third opinion, that, that we don't let them get away. That's for sure. Anyone else have any questions or any comments on that? Anything I can answer for you guys before I let you go? If not, make sure you guys get registered for a power session. If you're not registered this year, make sure you get registered, come down to Clearwater, hang out, have a bunch of fun without the doctors, and it'll be a good time. So we've got one coming up this Friday, and then I think it's the first Friday pretty much of every single month. So if you guys aren't registered, get registered for one, and we'll go from there. But anything else you need, let me know, and make sure that you guys are recording, sending in the recordings, make sure that we can hear the audio. It's really hard to help if we can't see the consultations, and it's really tough for you guys to auto correct if you can't see yourself on camera. Really tough. Much, much easier when you actually see it. Sound good? All right, cool. All right, guys, go close somebody. Let me know if you need anything, okay? All right, bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
See
Thank
ya.
you, Bart.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.